Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Saturday, March the 22nd, 2025. So for most of you, it's probably still the first day of spring, the 21st. So happy spring, everybody. I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the Live at 5 coming to you from Kyiv, this major European capital that is currently under siege. And when I say that we're under siege, tonight is a bad night. It's a loud night. Putin's drones are hitting Ukraine all over the place. Air defense is active here. You may hear some pops and bangs in the background. That's what that is. Zaporizhia is on fire. And this all comes on the heels of last night's drone strike, which was one of the single largest, if not, I couldn't find out today. I looked, but I couldn't figure out whether or not last night's drone strike was the largest of the war. The Russians sent 214 drones. If last night wasn't the largest Russian drone strike on Ukraine, it was certainly one of the largest. And please, this nonsense about there being a ceasefire in place on energy infrastructure. Putin bombed the power plant in out in the east, in Sloviansk, an hour after he purportedly told everybody to stop bombing power plants in Ukraine. So this notion that there is any kind of a ceasefire in place is nonsense of the first order. It is a scam of the Trump administration to attempt to make the world believe that Donald Trump is some kind of a peace negotiator. Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about peace anywhere in the world. His so-called ceasefire in Gaza, that has failed. He's failed to get the hostages out of Gaza. He's failed to get a ceasefire agreement with Russia that they didn't violate within an hour of getting off the phone with him. In fact, we have evidence now to indicate that the Russians bombed their own gas pipeline infrastructure last night in an effort to discredit the Ukrainians. It's outrageous. Buonasera, Roberto. Come stai? He failed at business more than 6 times, Jeff, right? I mean, he had 4 bankruptcies. His charity turned out to be a fraud. His university was a fraud. Trump Steaks went down, went bankrupt. Trump Airlines went bankrupt. The USFL went bankrupt. His hotels and casinos. How the fuck do you bankrupt a casino? It's a license to print money. How corrupt and incompetent do you have to be to not make money in a casino in Atlantic City? It's unbelievable. Markel Bauer says Trump is the worst president ever, a liar and a traitor. And I could not agree more. I could not agree more. Buonanotte, Markel. Ugh. And now, Mark, he's got his hands on the United States of America. And he is well on his way to bankrupting the United States of America. The stock market has lost over 4 trillion with a T since he's been in office. His billionaire friends have lost a combined something like $600 billion in their personal wealth. Musk alone, I think the last number I saw, Tesla stock had lost $330 billion in value. I know, PH, because they're suckers. You know, you think about it, right? You think about the average person. Think about how dumb the average person is, and then remember that half of the population is dumber than that. And on that low end of the scale, they are just enthralled to Donald Trump. Markel, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. I really don't. He seems absolutely hell-bent on destroying the prosperity and peace of the post-World War II era. What do you think when Trump says the Ukraine peace deal is close? I think he's an idiot and he's full of shit. Look, the guy is a creature of the Kremlin. Hey, Simon. Hey, Mel. Well, I don't know if it's the end, right? It's a little early to write America off. America can still right itself from this thing. But you're right. We do have to figure out how to do that right now. Just a little magic. You're right. I could not be more disgusted by that. That scientist that was returned home because, because he had anti-Trump shit on his phone. You got to be kidding me. I'm irrelevant. Why do you say that, Eddie? Why would you say that I am irrelevant? I think I make very valid points. I think that I speak from a place of honesty, integrity, and truth. And I guess in a post-truth age, that does sort of make me irrelevant, doesn't it? Well, I don't believe in a post-truth age. I believe that truth is the highest good. Stug, I don't know what you're talking about. Are the Australians sending Abrams to Ukraine? What's Ventolin? I don't know what Ventolin is, Steve. I don't know what that is. Hey, Roy Daniels. MAGA is a cult. Thanks, PH. Thanks for having my back. So why did you say that? Do I sound breathy or something? Thanks, Paul Brown. So, Paul, you used the word truthful in your sentence there, and the sponsor of tonight's live is Truthful, a longtime follower of the channel, who's often in the lives. I didn't see Truthful come in, but I was kind of on a rant there for a minute. The VA told vets they could not call the VA attorneys unless they get the okay from elected officials. Unbelievable. So, Jason, there were a lot of attacks last night. As I mentioned at the top, we saw one of the biggest drone strikes by the Russian Federation on the territory of Ukraine last night, with 214 drones sent in. Now, Odessa was hit particularly hard last night. The city experienced widespread fires, and it's worth pointing out that this was at a time when the Czech president was in Odessa. So you have a visiting dignitary from a major European power, who of course is behind supplying Ukraine with shells so that they could stay in the fight. And the Russians bombed the shit out of Odessa last night. The problem, Dietrich, is that the political will in the United States does not exist to impeach the president. And that is really the problem. The Republicans are they're all looking out for their own careers, and they believe that their careers are tied to the success of Donald Trump. No Republican, right? The few Republicans that have had the balls to stand up to Trump are now facing criminal charges, right? Everybody on the January 6th committee, Trump wants jailed. And so the first thing he did was sign an illegal executive order to revoke their pardons from Biden, which he cannot do. And of course, he is openly violating court orders. The court has said he cannot deport the people he is deporting. He's deporting them. The court has said he cannot fire the federal employees that he has fired. He's firing them. What else? And those are the two big ones. Those are the two big ones where the judicial check on the power of the president, he is simply ignoring. And that is a problem. That is a huge, huge problem. Yeah, send Trump a couple of hamburgers. Right? I mean, the guy can only be 2 bacon cheeseburgers away from a heart attack. Right? Peter, how do you think Zelensky will react to whatever shit deal Trump and Putin are doing? Chris, I don't know. I mean, so far, Zelensky is sticking to his guns and telling Trump to fuck off like he did on the nuclear power plant thing. You know, when the minerals deal fell through because of what Trump did to Zelensky in the Oval Office, Trump's next move was try to extort from Zelensky at least 4 of the 5 nuclear power plants in this country. Hey, you got some power plants. Give them to us. You could benefit from our expertise, as if we have a lot of expertise in running Soviet-style power plants. We'll sell the electricity back to you and we'll use that revenue. So give us the power plants that the Soviet Union built for you. We'll sell you the electricity and that'll pay off your debts to us. As if the Ukrainians have debts to the United States. They do not. Let's be very clear. The Ukrainians don't owe us anything except for a few small loans that were made mostly as part of the humanitarian aid. All of that equipment, all of those weapons that we gave them were drawdowns, right? We had it in stock and we gifted it to the Ukrainians under Biden. Trump cannot now go back and say, oh, you owe us $350 billion for the $86 billion. Oh, pardon me. Hey, maybe you're right. I do need some Ventolin. There's a lot of, hey, there's our sponsor for tonight. Hey, Truthful. Dust Bunny, you're not wrong, right? The general read on the SCOTUS decision is that Trump's got immunity. And God, he is really pushing that point, isn't he? So we shall see whether they really meant that or not. Because the things he's doing are clearly creating a constitutional crisis in the United States. So we shall see. Now, we heard yesterday from the White House press secretary that the minerals deal was off and that instead Ukraine was going to be turning over power plants to the United States. Well, Zelensky's response to that was, no, fuck off. Now, I'm paraphrasing. That's not a direct quote, but essentially that, thanks, Craig. I like that. I do like that. But that is essentially the response he got. So then today, the minerals deal is back on, at least according to the White House. The White House is saying, Trump said today that we can expect to see the minerals deal signed very shortly, or we're very close to signing it, something like that. Now, I don't know that that's true. Kyiv has been quiet on this point. However, it is worth pointing out to everybody, remember, this is not a minerals deal. This is the framework under which a minerals deal might be worked out. Very different thing, right? It's an agreement to talk about an agreement and some of the parameters that would define that conversation. It's not a deal. Deals like this are very complicated. Hell, I mean, it could probably take 3 years, 11 months, and 10 days to work out the deal. Yeah. And as long as Ukraine gets weapons in the meantime, I'm okay with that. Well, in point of fact, as long as the Ukrainians are making deals that they see are in their best interest, I am not a person that is going to second guess them. These guys are fighting for their very existence. And at this critical time in their history, the President of the United States is trying to extort from them in order to line his own pockets. And we should all be out incensed by that. Hey, Feisty. Paul Brown, you weren't a federal employee, were you? Elon can buy off any Republican attempt to right the ship. Now, it's an interesting statement to make because there was a time in our lives, in my life at any rate, where money was not everything. Somehow the United States has lost its way in that regard. Hey, Jax. Total grifter, Arn. You're right, Martino, right? It's just like this isn't Putin's war, it's Russia's war. Because Putin can't do all these things. Putin himself did not commit 200,000 documented war crimes in Ukraine himself. There are millions of Russians who want in on the action and support it completely. The imperial mindset of the Russian people is a problem. Just like in the United States, the sycophantic, cult-worshipping maggots are a problem as well. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it whatsoever. Fox News is Russian propaganda. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. Fox News is Russian propaganda. Now, again, Kyiv has been silent on the minerals deal, but they were ready to sign it, and they did say that they would sign it. They were still ready to sign it. It remains to be seen what the details will look like and whether or not there will even be a deal. Heather Calvin says that some of the neighbors in Utah have taken down their Trump signs. Well, that's a start. That is a start. It worries me because, when I think about the Nuremberg trials, when we look at history, every single one of those guys from the Third Reich who went to the gallows after Nuremberg went to their graves screaming that they were right and it was the world that was wrong. And for a lot of these Trump supporters, they are so deeply invested in it that to acknowledge that they have been the victims of a scam, that they have been scammed by a cheap con artist, a snake oil salesman who cares nothing for their well-being or their futures, who is currently trying to bankrupt the United States of America so that he and his billionaire friends can buy it all and create a permanent underclass of American citizenry that they can buy and sell at will, the same way that the Russians have in their failed society. They'll never be able to admit it. They will make up it's like the wife who hires the private attorney or private detective to watch her husband. And the private detective gives her pictures of him with another woman at a hotel, and she looks at the pictures and says, well, his face is very blurry here. I don't know if that's really him. The evidence of their own eyes is not enough to convince them. Russia's economy is in tatters, and Trump is trying to do the same thing to the American economy. I mean, look, we all know the inflationary effects of tariffs. We all know the loss of soft power in the world and real power in the world from things like withdrawing from NATO, right? Giving up the supreme allied command of NATO. How much does that reduce our power in the world? There is nothing good coming out of the Trump administration for America. There's a German girl, a young woman, who's been in ICE custody for 6 weeks because she's a tattoo artist and was bringing her tattoo equipment into the United States. And they were afraid that she might work while in the U.S., so she's been sitting in jail for 6 weeks. Six weeks. A British woman as well. I'm not familiar with those details, Mel. Would you DM me with them, please? Does Russia target the capital government buildings in Kyiv with missile and drone attacks? Yes, Jeff, every day. If you look at my page after the live, I just recorded a video where you can clearly hear the anti-aircraft fire. But of course, here in Kyiv, we're very fortunate, right? We have a multi-layered air defense that includes Patriot defenses. I don't know what the middle tier is, probably Iris-T or SAM-T, and then Gepards down on the low end for near drone defense. The tariff stuff will bankrupt America, but be clear. Let's be clear. That is the goal. That's the goal. The goal is to saddle Americans with debt, devalue the dollar, break the piggy bank that is the stock market, so that a handful of people can buy it all for pennies on the dollar and become the new oligarchs. Now, why would I say that? Where would I get such a crazy idea? It is exactly what the Russian oligarchs did during the 1990s in Russia. It's the playbook from Putin and his cronies. So please, don't tell me that that's not what's going on. When Trump said there will be some temporary pain, right? You got to break some eggs to make an omelet. Right? When he said that, he wasn't talking to you regular people. He intends for our lives to be worse than ever, forever. He was talking to his oligarch buddies who he's promised they're going to be able to buy America on the cheap. And for only $5 million, if you're not an American now, you can be. And you can bring the stolen wealth that you got from bankrupting Russia to the United States to buy up our shit at wholesale prices. This is a mafioso gangster extraction economy oligarchy of Mohammed bin Salman and Vladimir Putin attempting the bankrupting of America. Just like they did back in 2019 when they tried to manipulate the price of oil in order to bankrupt American shale oil companies. This is nothing new. They've been at this for a long time. Ben Tilley, thanks for sending the gifts. Listen, guys, the gifts, I would much rather, if you have $5 a month, please join my Patreon. TikTok takes 60% of those gifts. Last night, all those gifts, you know what a rose equals? When you send a rose, one rose is equal to 1/10 of 1 penny. I mean, last night for my live, I brought in 6 cents. 6 pennies. I do not do this for the money. But if you do want to help me out with money, please join the Patreon. Please. And you can join the Patreon for free. If you don't have any money, but you like what I'm saying, please, you get a free account to the Patreon. And follow me there too. There's a lot of content that gets published there that is published nowhere else. We are in for a bumpy ride, Dietrich Johnson. Yes, we are. I don't know if we're in a police state yet, Roy, but that is the vision of Project 2025. That is certainly the vision. And you're right. The idea is to make sure there is no middle class, that there is simply the wealthy and the poor, who the wealthy can buy and sell. Travel from Canada to the U.S. has dropped to its lowest since the 19th century. Well, who can blame them, Richard? Little Red Sunflower says, isn't our market crashing helping stabilize the ruble? It's not so much the market crash. It's the loss of soft power in the world that is devaluing the dollar. The uncertainty that Trump is creating in the markets, which is devaluing the dollar. And so you're getting a better exchange rate on the ruble because the dollar is losing value as a reserve currency. Now, it hasn't lost all of that cachet that it has always had, but Trump is certainly doing his damnedest to wreck it. There's no doubt about it. And then, of course, the Russian economy, or the ruble, is doing better because Trump is giving hope to the Russians. Every time he opens his mouth, they pop champagne corks in Moscow. And so what we're seeing is the ruble recover to its best rates since, if I'm not mistaken, July of 2023. Yeah, and then this crypto thing is a complete scam. Please, Snook, the hockey game is like retarded. It's ridiculous. You know, the idea that we're going to play the Russians in hockey and that's somehow going to stop the war. I mean, that's the kind of level that Krasnov works at, right? That kind of surface level. It's totally mental. Yeah. All right. Okay, so if the dollar falls, then what? Well, the first thing that happens when the dollar falls is that all of your imports become more expensive. Now, that, of course, is what Trump is trying to avoid with his tariffs, right? He's trying to get all the manufacturing back in the U.S., but that's not how that works. That's not going to happen. No matter whether you like it or not, we live in a global economy. It matters what the price of goods in Ukraine is if Ukraine is exporting those goods to the United States. And when Trump puts a tariff on it and increases the price by 25% with his stupid tariff, right? What the Wall Street Journal called the stupidest or the dumbest trade war in history. I mean, things are good. Why would you try to wreck it? What we need to do is we need to up the minimum wage to a living wage, and we need to tax the rich. The fact that Elon Musk could lose $200 billion worth of his value, his stock valuations, and not bat an eye is a big sign that we could tax him more and he would be just okay. He will be just okay. And Trump doesn't have any businesses left, really. I mean, everything he does now is a grift. Well, that's good to hear, Jeff. There's more reason and rationality. Do you think Putin thinks he's doing better than they are because no one wants to tell him otherwise? Yes, Clay. Yes, I absolutely believe that. It's not the only reason. He's also committed to the expansion of Russia as an empire. That is the legacy that he wants to leave behind, you know. Hey, Robbo. Oof. Right, see, Leah, that's crazy. That's crazy. A $7.25 minimum wage is crazy. There's very little word coming out of, oh God, I got another violation warning. They are really working hard to shut me down. Yes, they are. We just had a week ban. I will try not to do anything that upsets the algorithm. So, Roy, the latest on the ground in Belgorod is not much because the Ukrainians aren't saying anything. The Kyiv is very quiet on the subject of the Belgorod incursion, with the exception of Zelensky yesterday saying that there is an ongoing operation in Belgorod. He did confirm that. Now, what the purpose of this operation is remains a mystery. Sorry, 1 second. I'm going to open this door and let some air in. You know, we don't control the heat here. It's all controlled by the government. And it was warm today. And the heat is still on. I think I can feel my blood pressure rising too as I'm talking about this. Okay. Anyway. So the news coming out of Belgorod is not much, and we can't trust the Russian sources. But there is supposed to be pitched fighting around Demidovka, which is just across the Belgorod border. In fact, the Russians are claiming that the entire town is just rubble now. And that is only 15 miles as the crow flies from Sudza. So we do not know if the Belgorod incursion is a distraction to fix Russian troops where they are inside Russia and prevent them from coming over the border, say, into Sumy, or if it's actually a double envelopment or a pincer move where Kursk is stable, right? So don't believe anybody who tells you the Ukrainians are out of Kursk. The Ukrainians are not out of Kursk. They hold much less of it than they once did. But there are still Ukrainians going to bed and waking up every night in control of Russian territory. Make no mistake. And there's a lot of them there. So it could be, right, so if this is Kursk and this is Belgorod, it could be that the Ukrainians are looking to close that 15-mile gap and encircle all those Russians and North Koreans, which, if that's what happens, it will be the most magnificent, brilliant military stroke of the war, in my opinion. It really could be. TikTok shop, everybody, Soviet heating system. Yeah, Arn. As an American, it's very weird. Like, you know, as a person who grew up in a world where every home I ever lived in, I had thermostats in every room, right? I could control the heat. My ex-wife was always cold, right? So in the rooms that she was in, it would always be on 72. The rest of the house would be on 67. I could work there, you know. So it is very weird as for me as an American. South Korea is not, nobody is sending troops to Ukraine at this time. Nobody wants to send their sons here to die for Ukraine. So the political will does not exist there. You didn't have thermostats in your college dorms? We did. No, Jeff, you're right. You're right. You're right. I could shut the radiators off of the valves. Dude, I never even thought of that. I never even, I mean, it's not something I think, I don't think a lot about it. I just open a window. But you're right. I could shut the radiators off of the valves. Good call, man. Good call. Okay. See you, Webadeb. Hey, Webadeb, long time no see. Okay. Guys, I'm sorry. I only got like 4 hours of sleep last night. I've been going since 7 o'clock this morning. I actually just walked in the door. That's why I was a couple minutes late. I should have had a cup of coffee and I didn't. Anyway. I will when we're done here. It's Friday. It's Friday. And it's the first day of spring. So happy spring, everybody. Let me see. What else do I have in my notes here? Shoigu said some amazingly stupid things today. He was talking about that the real impediment to peace is the Ukrainian constitution, because the Ukrainian constitution doesn't let Ukraine trade away its territories to aggressor nations that have invaded it. How about that? I mean, you know, as if the Russians aren't the real problem with getting to peace. Shoigu was fired as what was he? He was the defense minister. He was fired from that job, but he was put on the National Security Council. I believe that that's it. I believe that that's his title, National Security Director or something like that. So he's still around. He's still around. So we talked about Odessa burning last night. Tonight it's Zaporizhia. Zaporizhia is on fire. The Russians pulled a false flag operation on the Sudza gas pumping station. The Sudza pumping station was the one that sent natural gas to Hungary and Moldova, transiting it through Ukraine, right? And so that was shut off January 1st, reducing Russian gas income by billions and billions of dollars, something like $30 billion a year, if I remember right. But it was in the billions anyway. Now, so the gas terminal in Sudza doesn't do anything anymore because the pipeline is shut down. The Ukrainian military is saying that the Russians blew it up last night in order to discredit the Ukrainians as breaking the energy ceasefire. Now, first of all, the energy ceasefire was agreed to between Trump and Putin. Ukraine was not consulted. Secondly, Russia broke that ceasefire within hours of making it. And is breaking it right now with the drones that are coming in right now into Ukraine. So a false flag operation by the Russians on this pipeline infrastructure it's not outside the realm of possibilities. After all, how did Putin secure his hold on power in the first place? He blew up a bunch of apartment buildings in and around St. Petersburg, killing a bunch of Russians. and blamed the Chechens so he could start the Second Chechen War. That's who we're dealing with here. So we don't know who blew up the gas pipeline, though I strongly suspect that the Ukrainians are telling the truth. Russia's blaming the Ukrainians are blaming the Russians. I would point out that that gas infrastructure was perfectly safe for 7 months when Ukraine was in charge of that part of Kursk. June, I'm sorry if there's some confusion about those Tu-95s. That video is from a year ago. TikTok has a feature called On This Day, and anytime you see that On This Day, that video is from a year ago. So there are no Tu-95s flying out of Murmansk tonight. That's not a thing. Michael, I don't know if Chornomorsk was hit as well last night. I don't know the answer to that. But that's like a suburb of Odessa, right? So it seems unlikely that it wasn't, given the record number of drones that pummeled Odessa last night. Orange says, fly the blue and yellow wherever you can, folks. And don't just fly it. Send me pictures so I can show Ukrainians that people all around the world support Ukraine, regardless of what our respective governments might be doing. Have you heard about the new P-47 that was announced today? No, Aiden, it's not the P-47, it's the F-47, right? It's I don't know if it's a joke or a meme or if it's real, but there's supposedly what people are saying is that there's a new fighter jet that the U.S. Air Force is going to introduce, like the F-16, F-35, etc. Before it. This will be the F-47. And people are saying that it means, fuck 47. Trump is the 47th president. F-47, F Trump is how they're interpreting it. Now, I think that if there is such a plane, and it does have the designation F-47, that's just a coincidence because it's number 47 model in that series. But it is ironic, right? I mean, it is funny. And, Dark Irish, it's amazing how people do not read. So because TikTok tells me, you have this memory from a year ago on this day, do you want to publish it? And I say yes, right? Because it's cheap and easy to do it, right? So I republish them. But I always make sure that the on this day and the date are right across my face. But somehow most people ignore that. They just, people. I mean, if people can ignore the fact that we have a Russian asset in the White House, they can certainly ignore a date stamp on a TikTok video. It's been in the air for almost 5 years testing, says Weibo. So one would think that it doesn't have anything to do with Trump, but it is ironic. There's an irony to it. Why risk injuring or even worse the Czech president while he was in Odessa? Yeah, that's no accident, Michael. Remember, it's the Czech president who led the the shell initiative to make sure that Ukraine had the artillery shells that it needed to hold the Russians at bay. So I'm not sure that Little Red Sunflower's comment is in direct response to you, but I'm going to use it because if he happened to be unalived, that would just be a happy accident. Hey, shouldn't have been in a war zone. What are you doing in a war zone, Mr. President? Right, you take your chances. Oh, nice arm. Dude, I put it right across my face. Come on. How much more could I do? Yeah, Paul, I actually deleted some of those comments. There were some very rude people in there to you. And I did delete some of those comments. 6,000 drones from Germany announced today. I didn't see that, Paul. Wouldn't something happening to him cause NATO or someone else to enter the war for Ukraine? Maybe. Maybe not. Right? Russia has the cover of plausible deniability. Oh, we do not know where Czech president is. We target military installations. Electronic warfare of Ukraine put drone in hotel room of Czech president. Now, look, the Czech president wasn't staying in a hotel room. He was in a secure bunker. You can be sure of that. But still, had something happened, you can be sure that's how the Russians would play it. Musk and Trump starting a war just to distract from their criminality. You ain't kidding. Poor felon. He's so upset, he just cannot imagine the vitriol and violence that's being directed at him when he's sacrificing his time working for free for the American people. These billionaires, they love saying they're working for free for the American people while they steal every penny for themselves. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Guys, we're almost at the top of the hour, actually. We only have 8 minutes left. And checkmate. Bull. 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 Teslas are in there. The Cybertruck is in its 16th recall. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. 16 months. Since it was first released 16 months ago, the Cybertruck is now having its 8th recall. That's once every 2 months. They have to recall this stupid thing. I mean, they uncovered a shell company Trump has been sending political funds to. Unsurprising. Did you miss something, Robert? I'm not sure. You'd have to be more specific than that, pal. He is so weird. The A-hole and the K-hole. When do you think it will be discontinued? When will what be discontinued? Bip, I don't know what you mean by that. So guys, we only have about 7 minutes left. So a couple of things. Look, I do appreciate the gifts that everybody sent, but to really support this channel, please join the Patreon. If you have not joined the Patreon yet, please do. Or if, like Truthful, you want to help me out, sponsor a live, the PayPal information is in the bio. If you did not see my Putin on the Ritz video, I'm very proud of it. I think it's funny as shit. I encourage you to do that. If you tune into the live but you don't follow the channel, please do. I'm very close to hitting 35,000 subscribers or followers, whatever we call them here. And so if you're watching this and you are not following me here, please do so. To all the subscribers out there, people like Daryl Roberts, Beowulf, Chris Carter, you guys are so important to the channel. I'm deeply appreciative of your contributions. So make sure that you have a free Patreon account So you are not missing out on the other content that I'm creating over there. Aaron, did you like that? It was funny as fuck, right? It was seriously, I thought it was funny as fuck. No worries, Michael. No worries. You take care of your health, pal. Right? When you're recovered, you can take care of me when you're recovered. Thank you, Uncle Christopher. Thank you, Paul Brown. It was an awful lot of fun to do. It was an awful lot of fun to do. I did not go fossil hunting this morning. No, I was up early this morning. I got the news we are waking up to done, and then I was out the door, running around Kyiv doing a bunch of stuff, and I just got back in. I am asleep. No neophyte. Thank you, user 138586. So I was up early. Like if you follow me on Blue Sky, you can, or Threads or X or Instagram. I had the numbers published at 7:17 this morning of the losses of the Russian Federation, according to the General Staff of Ukraine. It is worth mentioning that today we saw the Russian Federation hit 900,000 KIA-WIA. KIA-WIA. Aaron, I don't have any sponsors for next week. So if anybody wants to sponsor a live next week, and Aaron, you just sponsored 4 lives in a row, pal. So, I mean, I really appreciate you. You know I do. But, you know, there's other people here that could do that. So please, if anybody out there can help me out, help me out. The best way to help me out is to join the Patreon. And in doing so, not only do you help ensure that I'll be able to stay in Kyiv, but you get, I hope, value out of your Patreon subscription. Even as a free Patreon subscriber, you get access to virtually everything I publish on Patreon. And so, for anybody out there that's interested in the content that I create or in what's happening here in Ukraine, please join the Patreon. Okay. What else is going on? Anything? But yes, I have no more sponsors for the rest of this month. And I have decided that I am going to go on vacation. Probably the end of the month, I'm going to take some time and I'm gonna leave Kyiv for a while, get out in the country someplace where there is no internet access. So I am not tempted to get online and talk to all of you, who frankly our conversations, you know, I had a conversation with Dive Hard today, who is a longtime supporter of this channel, great guy. And I learned things about him today that I never knew. It was a distinct pleasure to have that conversation. National Lampoon's Vacation. Right, now there's Nightshade. Nightshade's got the Peter's Peeps group on the Book of Faces. If you're on Facebook, please join us there. Lars has the Discord server, pardon me. If you're interested in that sort of thing, if you're a Discord guy. I am not. And thanks, of course, to the moderators, the best moderator team on the Tickety Talk. You're right, Arn, I do. I do. I absolutely do. Good night, Roberto. Thanks, Robbo. Lars has been working a lot, and the time difference may be causing him problems being here because, you know, Ukraine hasn't done daylight savings time yet. So the time in Norway is off an hour from when this would normally be. And he's been working a lot, so could just be that. Thanks, Little Red. Boy, I feel like I really wanted to say something else before I called it for the weekend. If you have Ukrainian flags in your yard, if you have yellow and blue ribbons on the old oak tree out in front of your house, anything at all that demonstrates your support for Ukraine, especially if you're an American, please, my email address is in the bio. Send me pictures of your house or whatever. I will share it with Ukrainians. It really helps. It is an immediate boost to the Ukrainian morale when they see that the rest of the world is on their side. Thanks, Nicola. You too. Have a very nice weekend. Hey, John, you new to the channel, are you? Well, welcome aboard. Holy cow, Nightshade. I don't know if I ever read Pig Latin before. I've certainly spoken it and heard it, but I don't know that I've ever read it. So thank you for this new experience. Welcome aboard, Mr. Bendal. Good night, Debbie. Good night, Feisty. Good night, Nicola. Richard Prexis, how you doing? Night, Arn. Night, Paul Brown. So, Paul, send me pictures and I'll show them around. Again, I could not do this without the Patreon supporters. So if there's anybody out there that can kick me $5 or $10 a month, please consider joining the Patreon. And even if you can't or just don't want to, get a free Patreon account and consume that content over there. There's some good information published on Patreon, not published elsewhere. Good night, Alex. Or should I do the... I can't even think of his name. Dick Van Dyke. Should I do the Dick Van Dyke Cockney accent and say, "Good night, governor"? It's the worst. Americans are the worst, aren't we, Alex? Thanks, PH. Good night, PH. Good night, Garsh. Garsh? Good night, Mary Ellen. Good night, John Boy. The Waltons. All right, kids. I'm gonna call it. I'm not even gonna bother trying to publish the live tonight. I'll publish it in the morning. I gotta get to sleep. So good night, everybody. Take care. Make it a great day.